Hi, it's your fairy book mama again. Today we're going to be reading chapter 15 of Abe Lincoln Gets His Chance by Frances Cavanaugh. During the next 2 years, Abraham Lincoln was asked to make many speeches. "Let us have faith that right makes might," he told one audience in New York, "and in that faith let us to the end dare to do our duty as we understand it." At the end of the speech, several thousand people rose to their feet, cheering and waving their handkerchiefs. His words were printed in newspapers. Throughout the northern states, men and women began to think of him as the friend of freedom. In 1860, he was so well known that he was nominated for President of the United States. Stephen A. Douglas was nominated by another political party. Once more, the two rivals were running for the same office. Several thousands of Abraham Lincoln's admirers called themselves Wide Awakes. There were Wide Awake clubs in near every northern town. Night after night, they marched in parades, carrying flaming torches and colored lanterns. And as they marched, they sang, "Hurrah for our cause, of all causes the best. Hurrah for old Abe, honest Abe of the West." No one enjoyed the campaign excitement more than did Willie and Tad Lincoln. They did their marching around the parlor carpet, singing another song. Old Abe Lincoln came out of the wilderness. Out of the wilderness, out of the wilderness. Old Abe Lincoln came out of the wilderness down in Illinois. People everywhere were talking about old Abe, and he received a great deal of mail. Some of the letters came from Pigeon Creek. Nat Grigsby, his old schoolmate, wrote that his Indiana friends were thinking of him. Dave Turnham wrote, "It was in Dave's book that Abe had first read the Declaration of Independence." A package arrived from Josiah Crawford, who had given him his Life of Washington. The package contained a piece of white oak wood. It was part of a rail that Abe had split when he was 16 years old. Josiah thought that he might like to have it made into a cane. Hundreds of other letters came from people he had never seen. One from New York State made him smile. "I'm a little girl only 11 years old," the letter read, "but want you should be President of the United States very much, so I hope you won't think me very bold to write to such a great man as you are. I have got 4 brothers, and part of them will vote for you anyway, and if you will let your whiskers grow, I will try to get the rest of them to vote for you. You would look a great deal better, for your face is so thin. All the ladies like whiskers, and they would tease their husbands to vote for you, and then you would be president." The letter was signed Grace Bettle. In less than 2 weeks, she received an answer. Abraham Lincoln, who loved children, took her advice. By Election Day on November 6, 1860, he had started to grow a beard. He spent the evening of Election Day in the telegraph office. Report after report came in from different parts of the country. He was gaining. He was winning. After a while, he knew, his friends knew, all Springfield knew, that Abraham Lincoln was to be the next president of the United States. Outside in the streets, the crowds were celebrating. They were singing, shouting, shooting off cannons. Abe told his friends that he was well nigh upset with joy. "I guess I'd better go home now," he added. "There's a little woman there who would like to hear the news." Mary was asleep when he entered their bedroom. Her husband touched her on the shoulder. "Mary, Mary," he said with a low chuckle, "we are elected." By February, the Lincolns were ready to move. Abe tied up the trunks and addressed them to A. Lincoln, the White House, Washington, D.C. Before he left Illinois, there was a visit he wanted to make to a log farmhouse 125 miles southeast of Springfield. His father had been dead for 10 years, but his stepmother was still living there. Travel was slow in those days, and he had to change trains several times. There was plenty of time to think. He knew that hard days lay ahead. There were many Southerners who said that they were afraid to live under a president who was against slavery. Several Southern states had left the Union and were starting a country of their own. For the United States to be broken up into 2 different nations seemed to him the saddest thing that could possibly happen. As president, Abraham Lincoln would have a chance. He must make the chance to preserve the Union. He could not know then that he would also have a chance to free the slaves, a chance to serve his country as had no other president since George Washington. His thoughts went back to his boyhood. Even then, he wanted to be president. What had once seemed an impossible dream was coming true. He thought of all the people who had encouraged and helped him. He thought of his mother, who more than any one person had given him a chance to get ahead. Mother. Whenever Abe said the word, he was thinking of both Nancy and Sarah. Sarah was waiting by the window. A tall man in a high silk hat came striding up the path. Abe, you've come. She opened the door and looked up into his sad, wise face. Of course, Mother. He gave her the kind of good bear hug he had given her when he was a boy. I'm leaving soon for Washington. Did you think I could go so far away without saying goodbye? The word spread rapidly that he was there. One after another, the neighbors dropped in until the little room was crowded. As he sat before the fireplace talking with all who came, Sarah seemed to see not a man about to become president, but a forlorn-looking little boy. She had loved that little boy from the moment she first saw him. He had always been a good son to her, a better son than her own John. When the last visitor had gone, she drew her chair closer. It was good to have a few minutes alone together. Abe, she told him, I can say what scarcely one mother in 1,000 can say. He looked at her inquiringly. You never gave me a cross word in your life. I reckon your mind and mine, that is, she laughed embarrassed. What a little mind I had seemed to run together. He reached over and laid a big hand on her knee. She put a wrinkled, work-hardened hand on his. When the time came to say goodbye, she could hardly keep the tears back. Will I ever see you again? She asked. What if something should happen to you, Abe? I feel it in my heart. Now, Mother. He held her close. Trust in the Lord, and all will be well. God bless you, Abraham. He kissed her and was gone. He was the best boy I ever saw, she thought, as she watched him drive away. That's the conclusion, the end of Abe Lincoln Gets His Chance. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this book. I know it's been a while. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And if you have any requests, just comment below. If you're going to sleep, have a great night. If not, have a wonderful day. Bye.